Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the Players Vibe, and I'd like to introduce you all to a new series we call Multiplayer Dynamics. Our goal is to help you all improve the quality of your gaming experience by increasing your individual skill sets so that you become more of an adaptable and reliable player on the field. Multiplayer gaming gets bigger and bigger as each year passes, and as audience grows, so does the frequency of cheap tactics people use to make up for their lack of skill. This series will not be limited to shooters or even Call of Duty in general, so whatever you learn from our new video series can be applied for other games as long as you figure out how to translate those skill sets. So to kick off our first topic, we'll be covering the establishment of your mindsets for multiplayer gaming. The basic premise is that you do what it takes to win, but the means of getting there is what troubles people the most. And the main reason is that most people start to rely more on their techniques rather than tactics and the understanding of the game. Another prominent problem is when people supplement their skills by using cheap and rudimentary tactics. And finally, the continuous practice of poor judgment. All of these can be remedied by thinking before you take action. And perhaps the most important thing to take care of is establishing a purpose for each of your actions. And the reason why this is so important is because you as a player is responsible of doing whatever it takes to complete the objective. And if you can't figure out why you're doing what you're doing, then you're simply hoping for luck to take you to where you need to be. And if that's the case, you need to start taking action, because you are more capable than what you make yourself out to be. Something as simple as watching an area where your teammates are not can change the tides of battle. And that's because you're watching for openings that other players can exploit. And reasons like that is precisely why it's very important to give your actions purpose. When you figure out why something works for one situation, you may be able to use those very same reasons to tackle other circumstances. Some of you may have trouble figuring out how you're going to give your actions purpose. One of the best ways of going about it is to think backwards in a sense. Start by understanding the overall problem, then establish a set of goals you're going to accomplish. Then you're going to want to assess the situation so you'll be able to figure out what you need to do in order to resolve the problem. Let's take Call of Duty for example. Something I like to do is figure out where my teammates are at and determine enemy locations by simply looking at where my teammates are not. So through the use of the process of elimination to understand where my opponents are at, are one of the means of determining how I was going to solve my problem. Which leads us to our final point, which is defining the means. From this point on, you're going to have all the information you need in order to achieve your goal. So the rest is basically determining what kind of tools you have and how you're going to use them to get there. All of these things I mentioned are great alternatives to camping and other cheap and rudimentary tactics you may start to do when you're lacking the means of achieving your goal. And determining your purpose in the game establishes what mindset you should use to tackle your objectives. So stay tuned, Players Vibe, because next time we'll be tackling the manipulation of skill sets. Now I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today, and I'd like to hope that you all would enjoy the rest of the video. This is Gambit 7. As always, stay sharp.